Hello everyone, welcome back to Blood Omen. And a month ago we have made our way to the city of Avernus, and now it's about damn time that we get to the cathedral, which is the epicenter of the demonic rituals and all this destruction that is being reached upon by the insane guardian of the Pillar of Dimension, Azimuth. Now, as we follow along with the path of destruction, which is not going to change much compared to the last video, so you can just skip to the cathedral itself, which is the really important part here if you want. Now, but still, as we proceed, we're also rapidly approaching, well, not rapidly, we're approaching the part of the game where the plot really begins to unfold, because we're getting to about the last third of the game, and this is really where shit gets real. Really where shit gets real. I'm so eloquent.
Flame sword. Flame sword.
And in addition to that, we are also getting to the point where Kain begins to actually embrace his vampirism, and we will begin to see testaments to that very shortly. Pretty much as soon as we approach the cathedral itself, we're gonna see the first real signs. Until this point, Kain was essentially the
blood gout.
one of the less evil relevant characters to the storyline. It will no longer be the case. It will stop being the case very soon, and it's not gonna really... He's really gonna become a better character further in the series when he makes a kind of a full circle. Because a young Kain first tries to hold on to his humanity, then he stops bothering, but then an older and wiser Kain is once again a better character, even for all the ruthlessness and cruelty. Because if you think about everything that happens after Blood Omen 2, one of the running themes is you should have listened to Kain, but that's after that. And it sure as hell isn't relevant now. I don't think that anyone had any idea of what was going to be in Defiance at the moment of creation of Blood Omen. They're 10 years or 9 years apart.
Blood shower flames the spiked mace. Victor! Voradran energy font of putrescence. Font of putrescence. Font spike chaos flame sword.
Now, as I have already ranted in the last part, there really isn't much else to talk about in the city of Avernus, because the center and the relevant part is the cathedral. And we're not getting there until a couple of screens later. And it's only exacerbated by the fact that I somehow inexplicably decide to kill everything in my path instead of just moving along the way and trying to avoid as many conflicts as possible. Because really that would have been the smarter decision. Because like every other Legacy of Kain game, this one becomes a long and slow grind by this point. All 5 Legacy of Kain games do that, all in a slightly different manner. They all end up being grinds. And yes, this is the cathedral, but We need to go and get around the pile of rubble that is blocking the way. The direct way. And there will also be, beginning with now, some awkward cuts, because this part and the Avernus Cathedral, I have played through them, I have recorded them without having played through beforehand, and so they're kind of blindish, because I kind of remember what's going on and where to go, but I didn't know it by heart, I didn't know exactly where to go and what to do. So here and in the cathedral itself there will be some awkward cuts, unfortunately, and I apologize for that, and now is the time for the first one. And yes, I did miss that, and yes, every single cut that I just talked about, they will all be connected to brain farts like this. Also, I have no idea why did the developers insert that specific music, that specific piece of soundtrack for that one small cellar. Okay.
I felt its eyes upon me, eager, hungry, as if it longed to rip my heart out and eat it before me as I died. I laughed as the onslaught began. Perhaps, when it was over, it would be the other way around.
And now I'm not sure whether I want to make a silly joke about a heart of a demon being rich in protein, or I want to talk about what I spoke about a few minutes ago, about the vampirism and cruelty of Kain, his bloodlust that is beginning to take over the personality. Because that is really what is happening. Besides this heart, this demon has green blood, it's poisonous, so it's not even good for him, for Kain. And finally we can get to the cathedral, but not before killing everything. I wanted to say in the way, but they're not in the way, they're out of the way. And I have no idea why I decided to kill everything. The path just didn't feel complete without this. And now, finally, for the cathedral itself. Yes, there's nothing else here.
Avernus was a religious autocracy, with the cathedral as its dais of power. Though the city lay in ruins, the cathedral remained untouched. The demons knew better than to bite the hand that feeds them.
Okay, so finally we are here at the epicenter of all that is happening, that is being unleashed upon the city of Avernus. Before getting to Azimuth herself, we, as Ariel said, we need to get a couple of tools, a couple of pieces of equipment, and to do that we will need to first ascend to the level of the cathedral that's heaven, and then descend into hell. I'm not really sure, I don't really remember what was the exact wording of Ariel's instructions, but it really doesn't matter. Although we will not really be getting any of these tools in this part, we will begin to get them in the next video. So far we are just making our way through the initial section, through this, what I call it, through the lobby of the cathedral. And yes, I was stuck at this door. This was the worst mental lapse that I've probably experienced in this game at all, ever. Now, an interesting thing about the Avernus Cathedral is that it will be revisited in well, later in the series, specifically in Defiance, in the end of Defiance, and it will be completely redesigned. It will look nothing like the cathedral here, and in addition to that, these blue sections, I have no idea what they're called. They're not the heaven level. Heaven is white. These sections and the heaven part of the cathedral are just plain removed. To be honest, I don't know why. I am yet to look it up, even if there is information about that anywhere. But what will be revisited is the hell, quote-unquote, or essentially, which is a code word for Avernus Catacombs, which will be the chronologically the third part of the cathedral that we are going to visit here in Blood. Much like the city itself, the cathedral here is, it looks intimidating on the map, but in reality it's a lot more linear than it seems. Or maybe it's just the top-down view, which makes it easier to not get lost as opposed to the more modern, conventional first-person or third-person camera views. Actually, yeah, it's probably the isometric view, because if not for this, I would have likely gotten lost in a location, in a level that were designed like the cathedral is here. I would have probably gotten lost a lot, in fact. And this annoyed me strongly, especially considering that I didn't have any magical energy left. And no, I did not have the sense to use the energy bank. This is such a cheap move, honestly. This is so cheap. But in any event, I'm going to cut it off here, and next time we will start getting the tools that we need to defeat Azimuth. Well, not to defeat Azimuth, but to proceed in the storyline. And thank you for watching, and I will see you next time, which will not be in a month.